Awesome. I guess it's still early morning, or early afternoon. How's everyone feeling? Good? Yeah? Did you guys have a good first day yesterday? Yeah? Nice. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being in the room with me. I am so happy I can have like a woman-only session because sometimes you need that, a little bit of safe space here, and it's just nice to see women at more conferences. I've been to a bunch now, I would say like 4 or 5, and so every time I see more women, it just makes me very, very happy. And also the fact that this is called a masterclass, I'm not gonna lie, is slightly intimidating because I'm still learning. A lot of us are still learning, and Bitcoin is still very new. So most of us still come here to connect, ask questions. I ask some of the same questions all the time. So just FYI, I'm no master. I'm really just here to share my story with you guys. And we do want to keep this pretty informal today. You know, I want like discussions and I want ideas. I just want this to be, again, just a safe space where we can all talk and just have some fun. Does that sound good? Okay, awesome. So with that, sorry, is this my clicker? Okay. Okay, so with that, I am Anuja. I am a recent founder of Travel with Bitcoin, which I'll tell you a little bit more about. And I recently also joined the Orange Pill app as their director of events. And honestly, if you told me I would be standing here saying these words to you 2 years ago, I would have literally laughed because at that time, I had very, very little understanding of what Bitcoin was. And honestly, I saw it as kind of more just of an investment, as something that helps you make money. And 2 years ago, it was really my husband who was obsessed with Bitcoin. I don't know how many of you can relate to this. Yes? No? Yeah? Some no? Okay, good. Those are good. Yeah. I need to hear those stories, actually. So it was really my husband who was, obsessed with it, going down his rabbit hole. And at that time, I was curious about it, but definitely not enough. Oh, shit. Okay. So at that time, he got me curious about it, but I definitely wasn't as motivated to learn. And I think it was probably the fact that he was really, really deep into it that it almost made me like repel it. I'm like, okay, you go do your thing there. I'm gonna focus on my job. So at that time, I was at Microsoft, fiat job in sales, loved what I was doing. And it wasn't until my husband and I decided we were gonna take some time off. It was really during COVID that we realized we're spending way too much time in front of our screens. So we were living in Canada at this point, and we decided we were going to take some time off. So we saved towards it and then ended up selling our home, a bunch of our belongings, and we both got 2 backpacks. And mind you, we're doing this in our 30s, okay? So it was a pretty drastic change, but hey, we wanted to go see the world. So we're like, okay, let's do this, and let's go to Africa, because it's a continent that none of us have really seen. We've traveled a lot, but definitely not stepped foot into this continent. So we're like, let's go to Africa. So we decided to do Cairo all the way down to Cape Town by bus. Literally on buses, which again, we really wanted to just like shock our system and have this experience of a lifetime, which it truly was. Would I do it again? I would do it again, but not by buses. It's pretty hectic. And you realize how gigantic Africa actually is when you're crossing borders for like 16, 17 hours. It was an adventure. So it wasn't until this sabbatical or this travel that we started where we also wanted to see how Bitcoin was being used in other parts of the world. Because a lot of times when you're speaking with your colleagues or your friends sitting, in your little office in Canada or somewhere in North America or somewhere in Europe, the perception really truly at that time was that, hey, it's just an investment. That's just what you do, and you invest in it like you invest in stocks, and we'll make more money out of it. But we wanted to see, and honestly, I wanted to see myself, like, okay, if Bitcoin really is something, how are people using it, okay? So as we were traveling across Africa, we actually ended up extending our sabbatical to 2 years. So the first year, it was Cairo to Cape Town, and then we decided we loved it so much that we're gonna continue. And this year we did South America and Central America, a little bit of Europe, And right before this, we were in India. And it has just completely changed my perception of what Bitcoin is. And honestly, that's what I want to talk about today. Like, I'm definitely not here to do a Bitcoin 101 or a technical deep dive. I really wanted to share some of the stories that I witnessed during my travels that really shaped my perspective of what Bitcoin is. And I think for each one of us, Bitcoin will make sense to us in a different way. You just have to find what that way is. And this is what helped me. So I would love to share that with you today. And hopefully it inspires you to bring your own creativity, your own skill set, whatever you're passionate about in this space. Because just like Bitcoin being a permissionless technology, it's also a permissionless space for you to come and contribute in your own way. And knowing how male-dominated, obviously, this space is, and coming from the tech space before this, I've witnessed what happens when a similar demographics is working on product development or working on creating some process or system. It's naturally going to be biased. So we do need to diversify this space, and let's be honest, we need to bring a little bit more of that feminine energy into the space. So let's have a talk about that. Okay, so, a quick question here, just to kind of gauge the audience. How many of you can, in your own words, explain what Bitcoin is to the person next to you? Awesome. You guys, awesome. Okay, that's majority of you guys. Love that. And how many of you guys think Bitcoin is an investment? Also, okay. And do you also think like Bitcoin is money, or do you see it more as investment? Not sure. Money. Okay. Okay. I mean, listen, we're all on our different journeys. This is why we're here. We're trying to figure out what this means for us, right? So that's awesome. Has anyone recently purchased anything with Bitcoin, like products or services? Nice. Was it here? Was it at the bazaar? At the market? Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Perfect. I love that. It is money. And what you're referring to is a Bitcoin circular economy. Yeah. Yeah. Which we'll talk about a little bit as well. So, okay, awesome. So the first country I'm going to take you guys to is Egypt. I had Egypt on my bucket list for years because I was always fascinated by the pyramids. So when we got there, as much as the pyramids took my breath away, it was actually something else that I discovered that really kind of shocked me. So once we got there, we needed to exchange US dollars for the local currency. So what we found out was that if you go to the bank with $1 US, you're going to get 31 Egyptian pounds. And this is 2 years ago, by the way, so these are not recent numbers. This is from 2 years ago. But what we found out from the locals is if you gave them your US dollars, they're going to give you more Egyptian pounds because they don't really want to save money in Egyptian pounds. So they want to try to figure out how can they hold their purchasing power so then they can continue to save in a way that inflation doesn't steal their money. And what was even crazier is when we got there, the street rate for one US dollar was 37 Egyptian pounds. We were there for about 2 months. And by the time we left, the street rate for that same US dollar was 48 Egyptian pounds. So now imagine, you're a business owner, you're a fresh graduate, you are trying to figure out, you have a newborn coming, like how are you going to save your money? And not everyone is privileged enough to, go buy real estate or, save money in large assets like that. And so this is truly a challenge that so many countries are having. And so this is when witnessing it firsthand is really what got me thinking about this. Because we hear about this, right? We hear about what's happening in Lebanon, we hear about what's happening in Venezuela, but we're sitting, in our offices or in homes. But when you go and see it happening in person and you're speaking with the locals and they're telling you about their stories and how they don't really have other options, it really makes you wonder. This is what made me question, okay, is our system really broken? If the system is broken in Egypt, how much longer until it's broken in Canada, in Switzerland, in different parts of Europe or North America? And that's when I was motivated to learn about, okay, so why Bitcoin? Why Bitcoin? Why is Bitcoin an alternative to this? Why is Bitcoin better money, right? So the first thing we're going to anchor on is that it's open. It's an open source code, which means anyone can go and see this code. Anyone can go and copy this code into your laptop. Anyone can go and actually propose changes to this code. So now, if we compare this to something that most of us know and use, let's say Instagram. So Instagram right now, you can't go and see the code behind Instagram. We don't know what that looks like. We can't go and propose changes to it because it's private. Where Bitcoin, it's an open source code. So now if we compare this to something like a traditional bank, let's say. So think about when you first opened up your bank account. You had to go to the bank, or maybe you did it online, but I'm older, so I went to the bank, opened up my bank account. I had to give in a lot of information about who I am, what I do for work. And then on top of that, the bank has to approve or reject how I spend my money, right? Yeah? So with Bitcoin, no permission is required. As long as you've got the internet, you're able to send and receive money. There's no central authority that you have to go through. So these are the first kind of concepts that I started learning about Bitcoin. The second one, it's scarce. Do we all know the number of Bitcoin that can ever be created? Yeah? Exactly, 21 million. And again, so it's a finite resource. There is only a limited amount of supply. So it's not like, the Federal Reserve or the central bank is going to come out and say we have more Bitcoin, but they can do that with our paper money. With our hard-earned money, they can just go, create more, and there we go. We were losing our savings. And the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is that not all 21 are released at once. So no global corporation can come and just gobble it all up. It's released over time. It's portable. It's very, very easy to move across borders. In case of an emergency or in case you're just traveling, you don't have to worry about taking cash around. You don't have to worry about taking gold around. I'll give you an example for now. I'm Indian, and we love to collect gold, okay? That's a big thing for Indians. So just now I was going from Canada to India, and I was wearing a little bit of gold because we had an event there, and it was below the threshold of how much gold you're able to carry across the countries, and even then I was nervous. I was nervous about carrying my own jewelry across countries. And so now imagine if you have other assets that are more tangible, in case you need to move, you won't be able to do that very easily. With Bitcoin, you create a Bitcoin wallet, you get 12 or 24 words as your password or your seed phrase that you probably heard about, and that's all you need to know, and you're moving across countries as long as you know what those words are. So, portable. So far we have open, scarce, portable. Does anyone want to tell me some of the other characteristics? Okay, no worries, we'll keep going. And it's divisible. For those of you that have been in this space for a little while, I'm sure your friends come to you and say, I can't buy one whole Bitcoin. I can't do it, But girl, you don't have to. One Bitcoin has small fractions of 100 million Satoshis. So you can definitely buy €1 of Bitcoin, $10 of Bitcoin, or francs of Bitcoin, whatever it is that you are able to. It's durable. So you can't easily break this. So remember how we talked about in the open one, that it's open source? And a lot of people, or if you want, you can actually copy the source code and copy the source code into your personal laptop. So just like that, there is tens and thousands of people that have done that. So if we really want, or if someone is out to destroy Bitcoin, they actually have to go and destroy all of these machines. And really, the only way this could potentially happen is if there's no internet. But honestly, if we don't have internet, we have bigger problems now because our whole life and livelihoods are dependent on the internet. And then the last one here is verifiable. So for this one, I'm going to give you an example. So let's say if I'm sending you money via a bank, and I told you that, hey, I've sent you money. But there's no really way for you to verify that I've sent it unless I sent you a screenshot that, hey, the money is coming. Only the bank knows because they're processing it. But let's say it takes a couple of hours or a couple of days. But with Bitcoin, if I were to do the same thing and I sent her money, this would actually initiate a transaction ID, and then you can go to that open source code online, search for that transaction ID, and it will show you if that transaction has been initiated. So you can literally check and verify when someone tells you that, hey, I've sent you Bitcoin to your address. So these are very, very powerful characteristics of what Bitcoin is. And this is how my journey, I would say, started and trying to understand how I can save my money in Bitcoin. Okay, so next. Okay, so I can save my money in Bitcoin. What else, right? Like, is it still an investment? Is it better to just save? How do I use it? What do I do with it? So then I was introduced to a concept called Bitcoin circular economies, which is something that you just referred to. And this is something I saw in Uganda, okay? So Uganda is in East Africa. It's a landlocked country right there. And this is, for the first time, I saw like vendors on the side of the road accepting Bitcoin. I saw barbers accepting Bitcoin. I actually went to an orphanage, guys, in Uganda that accept donations in Bitcoin and also teach the kids about this technology. We went on a safari and paid in Bitcoin. We went gorilla trekking and paid in Bitcoin. And so seeing that there's so many businesses actually accepting this, which is now a medium of exchange, now it really blew my mind that, okay, now I can store my money in this, I can save my money in this, but I can actually spend it as well. So anyone else part of any circular economies that are in your cities or towns? Yeah? Okay, perfect. And what we also realize is that Bitcoin can be a tool to solve problems that are happening in your community. And you can use it as a tool to empower people within the community. So we ended up spending about 3 months in Uganda, and what we saw was that there are a lot of fresh fruits there, some of the sweetest fruits that we've had, but unfortunately, a lot of the juice that was being sold had a lot of preservatives in it, like a lot of added sugar. And we were trying to figure out, why can't they just take the fresh fruits and just sell the juice of the fresh fruit without adding anything? So we decided, okay, why don't we solve this problem on our own? So we decided to actually open up a juice shop in Uganda with a few local friends from there. And we called it Juicy B, B for Bitcoin. And we started actually offering fresh juice. And we did it near a university there. It's one of the largest universities in East Africa. So we were able to impact a lot of students. Now, naturally, when someone comes to the juice shop, they're like, what does this B stand for? So it gave us an opportunity to actually create this juice shop into like an education hub where we were pulling people to ask us what it was instead of trying to push information out. But then we realized, okay, this is all cool, but no one's going to pay us in Bitcoin because no one has Bitcoin, right? So how do we get Bitcoin into the hands of these young people, of the people that are actually buying juices? So we decided to come up with a loyalty program. So if you buy 5 juice, instead of getting a free juice, we're going to give you money back, but in Bitcoin. And so now that way, we're giving them, equivalent of probably $2 to $3, I would say, around, we were giving back to them at that time. And now they're like, holy shit, okay, well, I'm getting money. Even if it's this new money, it's money. So they're right away a lot more open about it. They're open to learning about it. You download a wallet, you show them, and instantly they're just amazed. So now it's up to them. It's up to them to either keep it, they can come back and spend it with us, they can go and spend it with other merchants that are in the circular economy, but at least now we're getting it into the hands of these people and they're able to actually use it and experience it, which again is a very powerful thing to do. So if you are trying to, let's say, tell a friend about this, and explaining it to them is not really working, showing definitely works wonders. I mean, that's how I learned. Seeing all of this happening is really what changed the way I started thinking about it. So then we decided we were going to visit all the other circular economies in Africa. This is slightly outdated. I think there is a lot more now, but we ended up visiting a lot of them. We did a lot of meetups, and it was just so interesting to see and hear everyone's perspective and see how it's changing their thought process when it comes to financial literacy. It was honestly just very, very interesting to see how everyone is using it in Africa. So if this is something that you are interested in, let's say, it doesn't have to be very big. It could be within your friends group. It could be within wherever you work with your colleagues. It could be within your family. It sounds like a pretty big thing, like, oh, Bitcoin circular economy, but it could really just start off with a couple of businesses, a couple of small businesses, your friends that are, selling things online, whatever it may be. This is a really, really great way to get started, and it puts you in a pretty uncomfortable position because now you're learning what Bitcoin is. You're also trying to help someone else understand what Bitcoin is. So naturally, they're going to have a lot of questions for you, which is good because you want to challenge yourself, and that way you're learning as well. So you're kind of creating this learning cycle. So what we learned after visiting a lot of circular economies is that if you do want to create something like this, these are the 6 things that are very, very important. The first one is you must have, yourself or a group that are like the trusted, not the leaders, I would say, but people that will come to you for questions. So you're really the initiation that's going to start this. So this is obviously very important. And this could be you. This could be you and your friend. This could be you and your significant other. This could be someone in your community that knows a lot about Bitcoin. You can motivate them to get started, and you can help them out as you're learning about it. Of course, educating is super, super important. And again, this doesn't have to be a random business that you go to. I'm talking about a business that you probably see once a month. We go get our nails done. We go get our hair done. We have appointments in similar clinics once a month or twice a month. So go to the people that are used to seeing your faces, that are familiar with you, that can trust you. So I'll give you an example. Like right before I started my travels this time, I went to get my lashes done, but I went to a new girl. And I was laying there for 2 hours. So I'm like, might as well, spark up some conversations. She was very young. She just graduated. And she's the one who brought up like savings and, how tough it is now. And cost of living in Canada has gone up quite a bit. And so I randomly just started bringing up Bitcoin with her. And, 2 hours later, she was so curious about it. She's like, please send me more information, send me more videos. I want to look into it. So you really never know who will be more curious to learn more. So just ask the question. You really never know what answer you're going to get. And then onboarding. So helping them understand, okay, how do you accept it? How do you secure it? And then also it's very important to help businesses understand how can they convert it into their local currency, because most businesses have expenses and they have to use whatever money that they're generating to pay off their expenses and their suppliers. And majority of the time, the suppliers are not going to accept Bitcoin. So as much as we want them to hold it, we also have to be realistic and show them how to actually off-ramp into their local currency. So when it comes to onboarding, don't feel like you have to do this all by yourself. Actually, Plan B Network has an amazing academy. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I recently got a demo of it yesterday, and there is some really good information in there for beginners, intermediate, advanced, everything from like technical resources to beginner resources. I haven't done a deep dive, but just from a glimpse of it, it looks fantastic. because I had a bit of an issue of like, where do I send people to learn more? So I would send them like YouTube videos or BTC sessions videos or things like that. But now we have like a central kind of repository. So I would definitely recommend using that. So let's use all the resources that we have and don't feel like you constantly have to do the education. You can send them a lot of the resources. And then again, you're building a community. So what we found that was really powerful was how often everyone was meeting in these circular economies. So whether it's once a month or twice a month, and a lot of time we learn from seeing, right? So if another business comes and approaches you and you're a business owner and they talk about how they've been saving in Bitcoin, how they're accepting Bitcoin, you're naturally going to be a little bit more curious. They're like, okay, if that business is doing it, why can't I do it? So getting like-minded people together is going to be super important as you're thinking about building out the circular economy. And try to solve problems in the community. Like the juice one was a pretty simple one, but try if there are any issues that are happening, where you live, within your building or your area or your community, at work, how can you try to use Bitcoin to solve some of those problems? And with the juice shop example, the juice was merely a medium, right? But what we wanted to actually do is educate the youth there about Bitcoin. But it's hard to do that when they don't really know what it is. So we use something that they're familiar with, which is a juice. So that way we're able to pull them in and get them curious. So just like that, if you think about, okay, what are some problems that are happening? How can I use Bitcoin to potentially solve these? And this could be also bigger problems that we are seeing. Is it unemployment? Is it gender inequality? Is it financial literacy? What are some things that are bothering you, let's say, from where you live or from where you work? And then again, if you continue doing this, you're going to grow, and you're going to have an amazing, flourishing circular economy. And there are a lot of these examples out there. I just showed you guys the ones in Africa. But like the lady said, there's a lot happening in Europe. We went to a lot of them in South and Central America. There's one happening in India. Obviously, there's one here. So you're definitely gonna, if you need help, there are a lot of people that are out there that are willing to speak with you if this is something that you would be interested in. So with that, is this something that you guys would want to do? Like I haven't done this myself because I haven't been in one place in 2 years, but I really want to do this. I really want to see if I can kind of flourish and grow a community like this. Is this something that interests you? Yeah? Yeah? Anything you want to share about why it interests you or any ideas of how you would start this? If you want to share. No pressure. Yes, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love that. We do that all the time, actually. We're trying to gift people more Bitcoin because now it's like, to your point, if they don't have Bitcoin, now you're gifting it to them. So they have it now. Exactly. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm working for a blockchain, mostly Bitcoin company, and we have a collaboration with Plan B. And
Nice.
most of the courses, we have it in our application, which is a gamified learn-to-earn application. So
Cool.
you can learn Bitcoin and earn some sats from it in this application. So I think that's a good way to build a community over it and give some satoshis to the people who try to learn Bitcoin. Bitcoin.
I love that. Sorry, what was the name of that?
The name of the app is Skill Buddy, like skill and buddy. Like
Skill
friend.
Buddy.
Skill Buddy.
Okay,
Yes.
so we're all going to go to Skill Buddy and get some free sats. Play some games.
See you there.
That's awesome. Anyone want to share anything else? And yeah.
Hey Anuja, we met in Cape Town. I don't know if you remember.
It was 2 years ago, yeah? Yeah.
We were there at the conference.
Yeah.
So we have our BTC conservation fund that is still running since then. We had a geyser fund back that time to get the mambas. It's a female anti-poaching unit.
Right.
And now it took some time because it takes a lot of time to convince people to use it. But now we donated 2 weeks ago. We donated to have them for wildlife education. So students come there and they can learn about elephants. And it starts to ring a bell for them. So they really need a real example. It's not just about telling them, and you really have to show that it works and that it's real money.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I literally look for stories like this. Like, this is why I think we need to do more of these sessions, because I find it very fascinating to see what everyone else is doing, but also I find it fascinating to understand how Bitcoin made sense for people. And we all have our very unique stories around this. And I was actually just chatting with someone 2 days ago, and she's like, "Oh, I want someone to write a book about all these stories, about how Bitcoin connected to them or how it started making sense to them." I think it would be very cool. But if there's any other stories anyone wants to share, we're all here. We're open ears. Okay, all good. We'll continue. Okay, so going back to our Cairo to Cape Town, so I told you a little bit about Egypt, I told you about the circular economies in Uganda, and then I was in Tanzania, and I went to the little island called Zanzibar, beautiful island, and I actually attended my first women's retreat. So this had nothing to do with Bitcoin, you guys. It was just a women's retreat. It just happened that it fell at the same time that I was going to be there, so I'm like, hey, why not? I've never attended something. I'm already doing all these new experiences. Why not? So I decided to join, and I probably had one of the best 4 or 5 days. After a long time, I had just a really, really authentic experience there, because everyone that came was kind of strangers to each other. We didn't know each other. And I didn't realize how much baggage I would normally carry if I'm going on trips or if I'm doing things with people that already know me from my past, where these were complete strangers, women, and I could just be myself in that moment, who I was. I wasn't expected to be someone else. And that was such a freeing feeling. And everyone that came was super supportive. We shared a lot of things about our past, about what we want to do in the future. And the whole theme was actually women-owned businesses. So these were all entrepreneurs from different parts of the world. So I definitely got very lucky to be part of this. And as I was hearing stories about these women and how they started their businesses, they're really looking to solve problems that are happening within their community, or they're looking to solve problems that they've seen in their professional life. So it really inspired me to think about, okay, so why can't I do something like this? Bitcoin is very new, and there are obviously a lot of challenges or a lot of ways that we can make this better. And while we were traveling, I realized that it wasn't easy to travel with Bitcoin. We were trying to find as many businesses as possible that would accept Bitcoin, whether it was tourism related or accommodation or whatever it was. And yes, there's BTC maps out there as well, but because, again, it's open source, so anyone can go and update information on it. Sometimes it's not relevant, or sometimes those businesses are not there. And we were also counting a lot on word of mouth. We'd be on Twitter being like, hey, we're coming to Zambia. Does anyone know anyone there that we can connect with? And, can we go and do whitewater rafting and pay with Bitcoin? So it was a lot of work for us to find this. And I'm like, okay, if the two of us are crazy enough to do this, I know there's going to be other people that want to do something similar. Maybe not in Africa, but I know there's people out there that would also want to travel with Bitcoin. And that's how really the idea was born, and I wanted to bring the two worlds that I love. One is travel, and one is technology, and I wanted to use this to solve a problem that was happening in the space. And that's when I created Travel with Bitcoin. And so this also allows me to show that at the end of the day, Bitcoin is money. And it's not this complicated thing that you have to go out of your way to learn and incorporate into your lifestyle. Just like with money, you're able to gain experiences, you're able to travel, you can do the same thing with Bitcoin. So I'm building a network of tourism operators around the world that accept Bitcoin. So let's say if you're going to Guatemala or if you're going to Kenya and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, I'm going to do a safari, you can actually check on our directory who accepts Bitcoin in the countries that you're going to. Then I decided, I'm like, okay, why stop there? I love bringing people together. So I want to do events and I want to do tours. And then I'm like, okay, well, conferences are a great time to do that. Because a lot of times during conferences, people are flying from different parts of the world. And they usually want to see the city that they've, flown into. They want to do something touristy related. So I started doing tours during conferences as well. And then eventually I want to start doing corporate retreats for Bitcoin companies, because a lot of us that work with Bitcoin companies are usually remote. So again, why not bring everyone together and do it in a way where they're able to see a circular economy on the ground, do it in a way where they're supporting operators and accommodation hosts that accept Bitcoin. So again, it's very new. Is it profitable? Hell no. But is it something that I love working on? Yes. And I was able to bring something that I love to do into this space. And it's not very technical, right? It's just something that I enjoy, and I'm trying to merge that. And so with that, I also want to talk about the fact that we are building a Bitcoin ecosystem, right? We have a lot of wallets out there. We have a lot of exchanges out there, which are very important. But again, this is an ecosystem. We need more products. We need more services. So if you look at some of these, there is a Bitcoin farmers market in El Salvador, which again, we got a chance to see, and it was amazing. This woman brings together all the small businesses around her community. They accept Bitcoin, so now you can go there and get fresh fruits and honey and all these amazing things and pay in Bitcoin. You also have Bit Fitness, so you have personal trainers. Again, they love what they do, which is fitness, and you can go and get a training session with them and pay them in Bitcoin. So there's just a lot of ways that we can bring what we have, what our uniqueness is, into this space. And I think we need that, right? We need to show people that you can live off of this. You can live a lifestyle off of this. Are there any other logos that are not here that you kind of know of? I know I saw 21 million at the bazaar yesterday. They do amazing they're a clothing brand. Again, a Bitcoin clothing brand, which is super cool. Anyone want to share any other ones? This is why we need more, so then people will know more about it, right? So these are just some examples. So that's the juice shop we have. There's, Bit Influencers, which is really cool. They're like a marketing agency. So if you're someone that's into content creating, you can also bring that in here. Honestly, we need a lot of new skill sets in this space. So I kind of talked about this already, but so what can you do? So it's really just about getting started. I think a lot of times we overthink things in our head. We're like, okay, well, this sounds stupid, or this won't make sense, or I'm scared to do this. And we go through those thoughts all the time. But I really think if we just start and take even small actions, I think even coming to this conference is an action, honestly. But as long as you get started with this, you ask questions, you're trying to solve something, you are speaking to someone that you look up to, that's just a great way to kind of get started in this space. And then, again, how can you contribute, right? You really don't have to follow someone that's doing something in this space. You can try to bring whatever you're good at and try to contribute. And that could be anything, honestly. And if you continue to contribute, you'll make a larger impact naturally, because now you're able to merge what you love to do, your passion, within this space, and more people will want to know what you're up to. I remember when I started travel with Bitcoin, I was like, no one's gonna give a shit about this, but I've definitely had people very interested in it, ask me questions about it. Am I still intimidated to talk about it? Yeah, all the time, because it's very new. But I think there's a beauty in that. You're trying to do something that no one's really done before, and you're kind of just figuring it out while you do it. So, with that, I said this earlier, but Bitcoin is permissionless. It's a space for you to come and contribute in your own way, whatever that might be. And I hope that this, nudges you a little bit and shows you that as intimidating as it may seem like from the outside, it's really not. We're still a very supportive community, and honestly, we need more women in this space. So I'll end with that. Thank you. I don't know what time it is, but I think it was pretty sure. We're good. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Anything you want to share? Yes? You can just use this, honestly.
The question is actually about the women in this space. I'm quite new in this community. I'm more like spent some decade in traditional finance and then joined a crypto-related company. And I was shocked that I don't see a lot of women. It's like, what is the reason behind it? What is your observation here? Is it just knowledge, or what is it? It's really very,
Shocking.
Yeah, shocking.
No, I agree. I think there's a couple of reasons. I think from the outside, it does look like a bit of a bro crypto culture. I think it's getting a little bit better, but I know at least a couple of years ago, it's just like a bunch of dudes talking about this. So I think there is that factor to it. I don't know how you all feel about this, but I think there's also the other aspect of how many women want to take responsibility of their financial literacy. Are they leaving it up to their significant others? It depends on which part of the world you're in. I've seen that a lot as well. So it could be multiple reasons. And again, if you just go back to the underlying fact that this is technology, and historically technology is very male dominated. So if you think about tech being up here, we're going so niche within that, and that sector already has a bunch of guys. So now we're going very, very, very. So a couple of reasons, I would say, for sure. But that's why I think, it is important to be vocal as a woman if you are doing something in this space, Doesn't matter about the followers, doesn't matter about how great your content looks like or what you're putting out there. I'm constantly on Twitter trying to follow more women because I don't want my algorithm to be just a bunch of dudes talking about the same thing over and over. I want to be inspired, right? Sorry, you were going to say something. Yeah.
I understand you want to gather women in the space. Do you have any platform or place where these women can gather together, have conversation, and evaluate projects?
Yeah, so I don't know how many of you are on the Orange Pill app, but Orange Pill app is a great way to meet other women and other Bitcoiners. And on the Orange Pill app, there's also a Women in Bitcoin group, which I think has about 400-ish women. So that's one way, but I will just let you know that the Orange Pill app does have a cost associated to it. It's like a membership type model. So the good thing about that is that everyone that you meet will be serious about Bitcoin. You're not going to get scammers or anything like that, because I don't know if you guys are on Twitter, but sometimes you get weird messages on Twitter from weird people. So there's definitely kind of, takes that out. So Orange Pill app is a great place for that. Unfortunately, I don't have a platform of my own to get people together. So maybe this is actually a good, challenge for me to try to solve that. So I'd have to figure out what would be the right platform to do that.
So do you like to organize retreats and
yes.
travels?
That's what I would do with Travel with Bitcoin. Yeah.
Travel Bitcoin.
Travel with Bitcoin.
With Bitcoin is your website?
Correct. Yeah.
Travel with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is where I would do the retreats and events and get people together.
So if I want to contact you and to talk about my project, so I can go to that website and contact you.
Yeah, and you can just talk to me right now, after this. No problem.
Yes, I will, but because I have another
Okay, no worries. Yeah, and you can also find me on Twitter. I'm on
Okay,
Twitter,
we did
and Travel with Bitcoin has all my information on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Could you please share your Twitter handle because I can't find you?
Oh yeah, no worries. Someone took Travel with Bitcoin, so I had to go with Travel W Bitcoin. And then that should be it. And then you'll have my name on it, Anuja, and then it says Travel with Bitcoin. Thank you. I should have actually put it up here, so that's my bad. Yeah. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, I'm not sure if you showed it, but traveler.com, I don't have any interest in it or anything, but it's also you can pay with Bitcoin and crypto
Yes.
to travel with.
You can, exactly. You can definitely use Bitcoin to pay using Travala, but the one thing about Travala is that it's not Bitcoin only. They do have
Crypto,
other, they have other coins. They actually have their own tokens, so it is.
It's good to mention.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Thank you for that.
wanted
Yeah.
to-
No, you're right. Yeah.
Just wanted to ask because Women in Bitcoin, I was in that group, but it was a German group.
The
Is
one
it-
on Orange Pill app?
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, les femmes oranges. Yeah, and for me it was not interesting because I don't speak German.
Okay.
But the orange, Belgium.
There is one in the UK, there is the German one, there is in El Salvador, the US,
Okay.
and there is soon to be
Yeah,
one in Spain.
maybe you
Okay.
have to share that on
Yeah.
on X maybe.
I'll share that.
Yeah.
I'll share that on my Twitter as well, and I'll share it with you individually because I am in that group now, and it's definitely not German
Okay.
only because otherwise I would not understand anything either.
I have two in German. One is in German, is the other is in English. Sorry, the
Okay.
Okay.
I'll show you. It's Telegram.
Yeah, because I'm really interested in. I also asked here for Lugano Plan B to
Yeah.
do more on women in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You have it in Prague. There
Yeah.
you have it really
Oh, nice.
big.
Okay.
Yeah, they do a really big event there.
Oh.
Is that Mir?
I am in Women of Bitcoin. I'm one of the organizers. I can put you in contact
Yes,
with.
if you want. Yeah.
Wait, do you mind just sharing that with everyone so
Yeah.
we know? 'Cause I actually don't know about it.
Two mics, wow. So there is this organizer. She had also a master class, maybe today or yesterday. I'm not sure. Yeah, right now, yes. So they organize meetups in Switzerland, mostly in Zurich area, but there are times in Bern or other cities, only women only for Bitcoin, which is very interesting. Sorry? Are in German? Okay. I think they are kind of mixed, depends on. Yeah.
Women of Bitcoin. Yes, please. So there is a representative in the UK, Christina, and then there is Rachel in Germany, and there is Reina in El Salvador, and they're in different countries. I am supposed to be starting in Spain, although the cultural situation is kind of like more complicated to start it. But the idea is like we meet. The organizers, we meet once every 3 months, and we're just trying to open this to the whole world. And there are communities that are on Telegram, and they do meetups. Now in London, Christina started it like last year. So there are countries that we don't have any presence. So if somebody is interested to start,
Yeah, that would be awesome.
that would be awesome, exactly, because we have no resources. We're just trying to start. Like my situation, my challenge with Spain is that most women work not until 5 p.m. like in England, but till 7 or 8. Then they have to put the children to bed at 9. So the only way to meet them is during the week and from 10 p.m. So I'm trying to invent other ways, like starting a WhatsApp group or something like that. But in other countries, it's easier. So if any of you is interested in starting, knowing that there's no money and a lot of time dedication, because it's for women, but usually the first question is, I don't really know what Bitcoin is. So you have to be educating all the time. But it's really good.
So how does someone find you, for example? Like, what's your...
Right, I'm on Twitter, not an active user, I should. Let me check. Let me take my handle, I don't know.
The only problem with WhatsApp is, because I have a group also for wildlife conservation, then when people join, they don't see the messages that already have been posted.
The past, that's true.
No, it's true, and that's why we use Telegram. But in Spain,
Yeah,
the most popular platform
it's
is
WhatsApp.
I see.
And what I'm trying to do is like, it's complicated enough to get them into Bitcoin because they are kind of like, not scared of it, but suspicious. So
Fair.
I don't want to make them download a new application.
No, that's totally
Like you
fair.
have to adapt to
Whatever
the
they're
reality of your country.
We have to use Skeet.
Or Signal. Signal is good too. Yeah.
And again, like kind of similar to what you're saying, if there aren't any meetups or any woman-only things happening in your city, just do it. Just
Yeah.
could be you and your bestie that started, and then you'll have 3, and then you'll have 4, and then you never know.
Rachel started like that in
Yeah.
Germany, and now they have more than 3,000 women.
Oh my gosh.
And they're organizing meetings all around the country. And Rachel was saying it's taking its own identity, like they're creating meetup, and I learn about them later on. So yeah, my handle is kind of complicated, so because it's Ballesteros, which is my surname. So if anybody wants to message me, I will give you the handle.
Perfect. Awesome. I know we're kind of getting on time now, but I appreciate you guys actually sticking around and participating. It definitely has been awesome for me to be up here, and I appreciate your support. So thank you guys, and I look forward to hanging out with you guys today.